I know, I know more than that, far more than that. So that is it. Julius is promoting his village. He's now Julius is Julius Haruna Awak. That's his full name. He added that work of recent because probably Awak, his village, has not been in tandem, in tune with everybody. He has a DVM, he has master's in veterinary science and diplomat in ACVP. A 1995 graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, DVM graduate, worked as a veterinary officer at Equitation Wing in NDA. Wherefore he was handling ulcerative lymphangitis in horses. He didn't put it here, but I will tell him, and strangles in horses. He handled a lot of cases. Enrolled in MSc in equine medicine. He will tell us why he didn't complete. Tougher than that. Enrolled in combined residency and Masters of Veterinary Science programs at University of Prince Edward Island in Canada. Worked as a clinical instructor at Washington State University or College of Veterinary Medicine, Pullman. I knew, in fact, I thought he has rejapared to America when he from, he was the original Japa. He went to Canada, finished his combined residency, and he was employed in Washington, state of Washington. And from there, in 2007 till date, he's back. He has rejapared back to Canada, and is working at Charles River Laboratories, Montreal, Canada. Currently a senior director of pathology services at Charles River Laboratories, overseeing a team of over 80 employers, including pathologists, scientists, managers, and technicians. Areas of expertise include preclinical safety assessment of new drugs and vaccines, radiation safety, cell and gene therapy, etc. You can see that he's a compact human being. Why we really called him in is apparently we need to expand our scope, expand our absorptive capacities. With close to 15,000 veterinarians in the country today, we really need to break the walls.
Dr. Ibe, please give me 1 second. I need to send the link to other people. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. We're giving you a second because I'm talking. We need to expand the absorptive capacity, and we need to decongest the unemployment space. I was in Brininkeby last week, precisely on Wednesday. I was really blasting on how we can expand our space. I went to Brininkeby, over 124 veterinarians, none in the private sector, everyone with the state government. The elasticity of the state government absorptive capacity is overstretched, and it might burst. So be it is a way I've brought in, that is why we have this program. I've brought in Emibe, Professor Emibe, the Dean Faculty of Veterinary Medicine in Ghana and ex-UI. He's schooled in UI from Delta, and has spoken to us a lot. And then his talks and topic, they were all collineal with that of Fashino, who works in World Organization of Animal Health, on how we can increase our capacity. So it borders on that. So that's it. How we can increase our capacity. That's all the talk is how we can increase the absorptive capacity. So that as much people, it's so ridiculous that you finish veterinary medicine and you are still at home collecting stipends from your parents. Then why did you go out? You would have continued collecting those stipends. The unemployment figure is so high in this country. And be it as it may, as former president of AVMA, it's incumbent in me on personal corporate social responsibility to drive our mindsets to certain areas that our mindsets were not, might not be able to get to. In 1987, 88, I did my youth service. I came out, I had no job, but I started with self-imposed ambulatory. And that's what I'm doing until I got to a stage. I started importing, started importing in small consignments until I started importing 20 feet, 40 feet container. And today I've built a brand in Bluebird in Nigeria. So people like us can be able to mentor. And the way, if I mentor you on how to be a pedestrian ambulator, and Haruna, Julius will mentor you on how to be an equine physician and how to be an international vet and the opportunities of vet in Canada. I think we are going somewhere. We are moving somewhere. So when I didn't have job, it looks like I was going nowhere, but today I found out I am somewhere. You might be going nowhere and find yourself somewhere. And that's the intent. Everywhere I go, if you get to my office, thousands of applications of job that is not there. But you can create your own job. You can create your own move. That's why I'm here. So Julius, please be able to quicken your step. And then I'm co-moderating with you, with Professor Ike Chukwu. Professor Ike. It will help me in this moderating class, because if you look at, because of your hour difference, Canada here, this is not our hour. Our hour is 10 a.m. On Saturdays, but there's nothing we can do. So please, that's why we are not really starting in time. So please, everything you have to tell us, we say it point blank, verbatim. You need to see my video in KB. I was blasting some people, more especially those people who took to religion and all manner of things to induce what we have today as retaliatory democracy in our professional lexicon, under the profession that is under the weight, sledgehammer of attacks on both sides, limited job space, unemployment at the roof, and people are still thinking about retaliatory democracy, sectional politics, religious politics. That is what I'm bound, and that is what I have sworn I would destroy. I told them in Brini KB. Some people tried it on me and now find that I'm not that kind of person, because I rove everywhere and all of you know. So please, let's really, and then as we are moving on, let's talk to ourselves on how to be ourselves and not to how to be against ourselves. It will not take us far. And once we're those upcoming, like me, I've retired. I wonder there's some applications I cannot make these days to enter India, to be a veterinary soldier. I can't. Police, I can't. But we can sit where we are and be able to tell you people, these mistakes we've made, they are not palatable. Don't make it. Don't follow us. Anyways, be it as a man. Julius, please. Have your way.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibe. So can everybody hear me now?
Oh, excellently. Yes.
Clearly. Good. So I'm really happy to be here today, and thank you, Dr. Ibe, for the opportunity to present today, opportunities for veterinarians in Canada. And for those of you who know Dr. Ibe, he didn't give me any chance to say no to this presentation, because obviously, as you may know, I left Nigeria in 2001. And that was the last year I practiced as a clinical vet, 2001. So that is like, what, 23 years ago? And when Dr. Ibe asked me to give this talk, I guess for me, the only reason why I agreed, even though he couldn't tell me I have an option, I figured out, well, even if I don't have clinical practice experience in Canada, at least I have something I can share with you guys today. And I can share what is available as public information online from the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association website, and from also experiences of some of the friends I have in Canada who have gone through that route of clinical practice. And I'm really happy today to see that some of my co-JAPA agents are here in this meeting today. So I see Dr. Emeka Moneke is here and Dr. Holy Aqua is here. Holy Aqua is originally from Cameroon, and we studied together in ABU Zaria. He was my classmate. I met him here in Canada. He was doing his PhD at the University of Guelph. So his story can also be an inspiration for a lot of people here today, I hope. And then Emeka Moneke I also met here in Canada. For Emeka, I actually met him in the same vet school where I studied. He was doing his PhD, but I came in to do my residency in pathology. So he was my host when I arrived to Canada newly, and I know him quite well. We've maintained our friendship. He doesn't live in Canada anymore today, but I'm really glad to see his face in this particular meeting. And in fact, just looking at their two different stories is enough to tell you quite a bit about the available options that a vet trained in Nigeria or any part of Africa for that matter would have in North America. And so Emeka is today into business. Holy is international travel gentleman. He specializes in EP, and he's working for international agencies across the globe. I recently had the opportunity to see Holy when he came to vacation in Canada. So it's nice to see all your faces here today. Now, to my presentation. Let me start my presentation. Tell me when you can see it.
We're only seeing your big face. I hope it won't cover your presentation.
So tell me when you can see my presentation.
Yeah, you see, where you see with us, yes.
You see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. I may stop my video so that we can see clearly.
No, don't stop your video.
What?
Go to the slides presentation, and then the thing will broaden.
So do you see my presentation now?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
We can monkey with this, yes.
So the presentation was supposed to be on Canada, but I kind of added US as a bonus. The main reason is because there's really no difference between Canada and USA. We write the same exams. If you're trying to go into clinical practice in Canada or US, it's the same process. You go through the same exact process. You write the same exams and the same everything except for the regulatory final licensing, which is based on the provinces in Canada. So each province will license a vet, while in the USA, it's the states that license a vet to practice in a particular state. There may be some differences between one state and the other, or between one province in Canada versus the other. I thought I should tell you a little bit about the company I work for before we go into the presentation of the day. And so I do work for a company called Charles River Laboratories. And actually, when I came to Canada to do my residency, after graduating from my residency in pathology, I went to work at Washington State University, as Dr. Ibe mentioned. But while I was in academia teaching at the College of Veterinary Medicine in Pullman, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my career because I was still very young. I didn't know if I wanted to go fully into academia or perhaps swap into industry and do something regarding drug development. And while I was in the process of thinking about what next to do, I was approached by Charles River Laboratories. I'd actually interviewed in one of their sites in Canada before I left Canada to the US. And at the time I left Canada, they were still interviewing candidates for that particular position as a pathologist. And so while I interviewed in the USA, they offered me the job immediately after my interview. So I accepted the job, and I told Charles River Laboratories Canada here that I'm not available anymore for the job consideration. And so I left Canada to the US. And maybe a year after I left Canada, I met one of the head of pathology from the Canadian site of Charles River at a conference in Boston, and he asked me if I would love to come back to Canada again to work for Charles River Laboratories because he has a position that is coming up in pathology. So long story short, that was how we started conversation. And then at the same time, I was also talking to another Charles River site in Ohio, Spencerville, Ohio. They were offering me a job, and the Montreal side was offering me the job also. And so I decided to come back to Canada, literally. So I switched gears from academia to industry, and I moved to Charles River Laboratories. So who is Charles River Laboratories, and what do they do? Basically, Charles River Laboratory was founded by a veterinarian like most of you here. It was founded as a research animal model breeding facility, pretty much by a vet in the Boston area. His name was Dr. Harry Foster. And actually, as of today, the CEO of the company, Charles River Laboratories, is the son of Dr. Harry Foster. So Dr. Harry Foster is late. While he started this business of breeding rats and mice for research to kind of pretty much meet the needs of research institutions across the US, slowly he went into drug development. So he started acquiring small companies that are into drug development. Today, Charles River is the largest global contract research lab that is involved in drug development process as a contract organization. And in the last 3 years, Charles River tested more than 80% of the drugs that were approved by the FDA. And I think 99.9% of the drugs that we test are all human drugs. So you may wonder, why would a veterinary pathologist, somebody that's a DVM, be testing human drugs? And I'll give you a bit of context later as we proceed with the conversation. So in terms of business segments from Charles River Laboratories, we have the research models and services. This is where we sell the rats and the mice. So we breed mice and rats for research. If you have worked with Sprague-Dawley rats, albino rats, the white rats, maybe you would have worked with Charles River Laboratory rats at some point in your research. And so we also have the discovery part of the business. Discovery is usually involving trying to figure out the chemistry of a molecule, to test the specificity of the binding of this particular chemical structure to a target receptor. And once they confirm that the receptor target binding is good and is specific for the target that they're looking for, then we have identified a compound, a potential test item or test article that should be looked further to see if it has any potential for becoming a drug that could be used for a particular condition or disease. And this is where we come in pretty much the safety assessment part of the business. It is the biggest part of the business that Charles River does. And what we do in safety assessment is pretty much preclinical testing of new drugs, or all drugs for new purposes, or all drugs being developed or retooled for a different route of administration. And the goal of safety assessment is really to determine the toxicology process, the toxicology profile of the drug, meaning that we want to understand how this drug goes into the body. A test system, which will be the animal that we use for assessment of the drugs. We use rats, mice, we use dogs, NHPs, non-human primates, and we use mini pigs and rabbits as well. So whether it's a drug meant to treat a particular condition or it's a vaccine for different types of indications, we test them in animals first. And we try to understand the safety profile of the drug, whether the drug is safe or is not safe, because the last thing we want to do is to allow these drugs to go into humans during the phase 1 clinical trials in human healthy volunteers. And so in our lab, we're able to eliminate all toxic medications that should not be ending up in human population by testing them in animals to see the toxicity profile. And in my capacity as a pathologist, what I do is to spend a lot of time on the microscope looking at tissues from these animals to understand the pathological changes that the drugs are causing, to determine the target organs in these animals, and then decide whether the target organs are adverse or non-adverse based on my professional training. And so we also have laboratory services that support the safety assessment that we do within Charles River, which includes the biomarker lab. We have also the clinical pathology lab that has the capacity to do hematology. We do chemistry profiles, like biochemistry profiles. We do the coagulation. We do the urinalysis. And to understand the effect of the drugs on those parameters, for example, we also have capacity for biodistribution using TK modeling. We do have bioanalysis lab. We have also analytical chemistry lab. We have immunology lab where we have the flow cytometry, ligand binding assays, PCRs, all kinds of flow cytometry. Also, we have cell cultures for different cell therapies, and so on and so forth. Mostly, we also use these particular labs for our gene therapy and cell therapy, as the case may be. And we have the biologics and avian vaccine unit also within Charles River Laboratories. So you can see that the portfolio of the business is comprehensive and very, very exhaustive. And that's why we are the biggest CRO in the world right now, with sites in Europe, North America, and then Asia as well. Now, let's go into the job market for veterinarians. I'm sure Holly and Emeka can relate to this as well. But, the market is pretty good in Canada. At least in the next 3 years, it's projected that we're going to have a very good market in Alberta, for example, Nova Scotia, Ontario, and Quebec, and good market in other places. Some of the provinces have limited data, so they're not listed here. And this information is from the Canadian Job Bank. This is a government-hosted site that keep a lot of job postings for different opportunities that exist in Canada in terms of veterinary services. So the vet services in Canada is an acute shortage of veterinarians, really acute to the point where it's becoming even a concern for the veterinarians that are working in Canada right now. According to Service Canada Labor Market Outlook, the vet profession is expected to face labor shortage conditions over the period of from 2022 all the way to 2031. So in fact, 10 years down the road, we're still going to be experiencing scarcity of vets in Canada. And this is a concern not only for the market itself, for the patients that need veterinary care, or even for the farms in Canada that need veterinarians to take care of the animals, but also for the vets that are working here, because since 2021, when COVID hit and lockdowns happened in the Western world, a lot of people were bored at home. And so what they did was to buy pets. They were buying dogs, cats, all kinds of pets to keep in their houses, to keep them company. And with that, it needed the services of veterinarians. So many vets were stressed out. They were burnt out, working long hours to take care of these animals because there are fewer vets available to take care of those animals, as well as the farm animals that exist also that needs to be taken care of. I put a link here in the presentation, which I'll be happy to share with everyone afterwards so that you can have access to them. I would say anyone here today who is looking for opportunities to either practice or do something with their degree from Nigeria or any part of Africa, DVM that you may have, you need to make Google your friend, because everything you need is on the internet, truly. And if you can search on Google, you will find the right information. So there are so many options that you can take, and you will see some of them today. So this is really from the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association side, talking about the veterinary shortage that we have in Canada and what it means for the veterinarians that are practicing here in Canada. I've talked to you about the impact of emotional, psychological, mental health that we see in veterinarians during the COVID, and it's continuing to persist because we still have severe shortage of veterinarians in Canada. And so the vets are suffering for working long hours. And what has happened over the years is, I remember way back when we were still students in PEI, America, the veterinary salary was very low if you are in private practice. So veterinarians were not paid a lot of money then. But today, it has completely flipped. Vets are paid a lot of money in Canada and the US. And in fact, veterinarians from Canada, some of them tend to even go to the US because they pay more in the US. So salaries are way six-figure salaries now. Very comprehensive package in terms of benefits, retirement benefit, vacations, and all that you may imagine, because the demand is really, really high. And the people that are working are very, very low. I am aware that some provinces, especially those north territories where we have a lot of cold, have even lesser stringent conditions to have veterinarians that are trained from outside to kind of get some basic training and allow them to practice as veterinarians. So those information should be available in the individual provincial websites if any of you want to take advantage of that. Looking at the down south, our southern border, though, the picture is not as bad as Canada. Because in Canada, we have 5 vet schools, and these vet schools are not training enough veterinarians, whether to practice or even to specialize in different fields of veterinary endeavor. But in the US, they have several more schools in terms of vet schools. So don't overlook any country here in North America, particularly US, Canada. If you're thinking about North America, think about Canada and US, because you never know where your opportunity will come from. It could come from US, it could come from Canada, but like I mentioned earlier, they both do the same thing. But I think US has more capacity to absorb a lot of veterinarians from outside. And it seems to me, I could be wrong, but it seems to me that the process to get your license as a vet is a little bit easier in the US compared to Canada, because there are systemic roadblocks that are in place sometimes that doesn't make it a lot easier to go through that process. And so America is not in a very critical situation. And it seems like for them, between now all the way to 2035, they're able to graduate sufficient number of veterinarians to have a balanced market where you have sufficient jobs to be occupied by the trained veterinarians. And so there's still opportunity there, obviously, because they're relying on vet schools adding more seats per class and also opening new vet schools. So they have the resources to be able to do that easily. In Canada, the vet schools have not changed for a very long time. It's still the same number of vet schools, except for one that was added, let's say, less than 10 years ago in Calgary. But other than that, it's been like 4 vet schools all along. But in US, they're always adding more vet schools. So it helps with the shortage. What are the opportunities that exist? Where are the opportunities that may exist for veterinarians trained in Africa that may want to come into Canada or US? The first one would be clinical practice. But again, it's not the shortest route. To go through clinical practice, you may have to go through all the examination process, from the theoretical examination to the practical exam, skill set exams, to be able to practice, to get the license to practice. And it's not cheap also. That can take quite a bit of money to go through the process. So it discourages some people from going that route. But again, it's a very, very lucrative route right now. If you're able to get your license to practice, you make a lot of money and you live well. But how to do that while you're here or while you're in Nigeria is really the issue right here. Academia, of course, there are several positions in academia that could use your degree as a DVM. It could be lab animal vet, could be a faculty position to teach in the university, it could be a postdoctoral fellow or even a research associate, or it could be working in research institutions, whether it's in Canada or US. You know, you never know what you're going to get. You just have to apply and keep applying. I've seen people get positions in Canada or US from Africa, from Nigeria directly with their degrees. So you never know. And in fact, in my company, we do hire people from foreign countries from time to time, but they're not working with their degrees as per veterinarians. They work as technicians in a laboratory, for example, and the company usually will sponsor for the visa. So those opportunities come from time to time. They're not always there, but you have to look around to find them. And that's the industry that I'm talking about. We would hire veterinarians as either lab animal vets or assistant vets. Since they don't have the certification, they could be technicians or scientists working as study directors on studies, as the case may be. And of course, government jobs exist in both federal government and then provincial or state government level for both Canada and US. They do largely regulatory work or kind of meat inspection in all the slaughterhouses in Canada, as we do in Nigeria. They employ a lot of veterinarians to do that kind of job here. Keep the food chain very wholesome as possible. And the government jobs, though, will require you to be a licensed veterinarian at least before you can work in those areas. Otherwise, you will not be working as a veterinarian. You may be working as a technician who is not a licensed vet. So you're not working as a vet. Therefore, you will be getting less than what you are due since you're not licensed. Steps to become a veterinarian in Canada and US. You can see that it's pretty much the same, really. There's no difference. And I put, again, a link there for both Canada and US to tell you. The first step is to register again and show your proof of graduation from a vet school that is not accredited by the American Veterinary Medical Association. Then you have to show your English language competency skills. There are many options available to you. Then the first major exam you have to take is the Basic and Clinical Sciences Examination, or the BCSE exam. Once you pass this BCSE exam, then you have 3 other steps you need to take. And from what I understood from my research, it doesn't matter which one you can do first or last. You have to do all 3 of them. So you can choose the order in which you want to do them. You can go for the preliminary surgical assessment, which I understand is something you do on a cadaver. They will give you a surgical technique to use on a cadaver, not a real live animal, to prove that you have some surgical skills. And then you have also the NAVLE, the North American Veterinary Licensing Exam. This NAVLE is required for every state or every province in Canada, every US, for you to get licensed as a practicing veterinarian. And you have the major clinical proficiency exam, which is the CPE. That one also you have to do. Now, as I mentioned earlier, once you pass the BCSE exam, you can jump and start with the NAVLE, or you can go and do the PSA, or you can do the CPE, but you have to complete all 3 steps, as the case may be, both for Canada and USA. These exams are coordinated by similar institutions. They are mutually acceptable from Canada to US or US to Canada. So it doesn't matter where you do it, whether you do it in Canada or US, it's really the same exam. You take the exact same exam and there's no difference. I'm tempted to click on this veterinary website here just to show you. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
You can see the website?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So you see, this website has a lot of information, the clinical proficiency exam, if you scroll down, you're going to see everything about the exam. Some of the websites, including the US, have even sample questions and mock exams that you can see. You go to my right here, you will see different aspects of the CPE. This is the CPE, okay? And then the PSA is here, preliminary surgical assessment is here online. So whatever information you need is available for you to find it on one site. You don't need to search too many sites. So if you click on the American website also, it's going to give you all this same information. I'm going to close this for a minute and I click on the US. So this is the American Veterinary Medical Association site. I hope you can still see my screen.
Yeah.
So the ECFVG policies and procedures. So Educational Commission for Foreign Veterinary Graduates. That's what it means. And you see there's the registration, the English language ability, basic clinical sciences knowledge. This is really the BCSE exam that I talked to you earlier. It really tests your basic knowledge as a vet, similar to what you will have if you just graduate from a vet school. And it's not testing your clinical skill, just basic knowledge and, all parts of pathology, anatomy, physiology that you learned during your vet school. And then you have the final step, which is the clinical skills assessment, which is the CPE, where you have to show competence as a vet with all the 6 skills that you've learned as a vet in terms of surgery, medicine, anatomy, physiology, everything included. I think there are about 7 portions to that exam. So information is available to you online. Make use of the resources you have. Google everything that you need. You'll find them online. So I mentioned earlier that some vet schools are listed and some are not. And I didn't know this until actually yesterday, because I didn't realize that the American Veterinary Medical Association has a listing of veterinary schools that is on their website. And these schools you see here are AVML listed. So if your school is here, it means that there is a bit of recognition for your vet school by the American Veterinary Medical Association, and by extension, the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association will also recognize this list. It doesn't mean that they are accredited by the college, by the American Veterinary Medical Association. It just means that they are listed. So they are recognized more or less as vet schools that may train good veterinarians. And so I see that ABU is here, Ibadan is there, Nsukka is here. The major vet schools, the original older vet schools are all here. The newer ones will be the Makodi, the Benue, and Makodi, Benue, and then Abuja, Kwara, Maiduguri, Ogun, Sokoto, and Omudike, all on the list. And this listing actually has vet schools from different parts of the world. There's a chat. Is there a chat box? Is there somebody saying something on the chat box, Dr. Ibe?
No,
Maybe.
continue. Just continue. We're sending our YouTube channel.
Okay.
So to revisit and see your slides again.
All right. So yes, if you graduate from any of these listed schools, you may have a better chance or maybe slight advantage in gaining admission into US veterinary schools or any kind of schools in the US. And for a fact, it doesn't even have to be a US vet school. It has to be anything related to vet. It could be maybe not even directly related to vet. So it could be in a medical school, for example, master's in public health. It could be in a College of Agriculture where you can do masters in veterinary nutrition, ruminant nutrition, or ruminant nutrition, or even monogastric. I'm hearing some feedback.
No, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry.
Yeah, so it could be masters in any other field of endeavor that you could consider. The end justify the means. Sometimes you get the opportunity to come to study a different subject or area of interest from what you actually want to do. But once you're in the system here, it's always easier to kind of find your way to your main passion, and you can switch rather than just waiting to make sure that you get what you want before you can come to Canada or US. And you may be wondering how much it costs to get veterinary license to practice. So in Canada, we're looking at between 13 to 15,000 Canadian dollars. In the US, we're looking at around 11 to 13,000 US dollars. It could be more than this, because this is just the basic information I found on their websites, respective websites. And so we're looking at something around 18 million Naira, right? Based on today's rate, let me see what that means. So it should be around 18 million Naira, right? That's a lot of money for a lot of Nigerian vets who, especially if you don't have a job, to come and spend. But believe me, it's money well spent. Even if you want to borrow this money, it's worth it. If you want to, let's say you have assets to sell to pass this exam, it's a lot worth it, By the way, we graduate from vet schools in Nigeria with zero debt, right? Most of you will not owe the government any money when you finish as a vet, whether it's Nigeria or any other African country. But here in US and Canada, when you graduate from vet school with a DVM, you're easily owing $200,000 sometimes in debt, some even more, $200,000 as debt that you borrowed to fund your way through school. So definitely this is money well spent. And these rates are available on the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association website. The link is already there for you. You can also check the US American Veterinary Medical Association website for more information on the US side if you want to go to the US. So what is the decision for you, Canada or US? Where do you go? Do you go to Canada or go to US? It doesn't matter really. If you go to Canada and you're able to take all the exams in Canada, it's fine. They are going to be recognized in the US. If you decide to do it in the USA, it will also be recognized. I saw online the possibility to write some of these exams abroad, so you don't have to be in Canada. But I didn't see any sites in Africa. I saw some sites in Europe, maybe Asia, but I didn't see any sites in Africa. So you may have to go to one of those sites to write the exams if you want to start the process from Nigeria, for example. So what if you don't want to practice? Let's say you don't want to go through the clinical practice route and you want to take some other options. Well, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm a good example of that. I didn't practice. I'm not practicing. Emeka, who was my colleague studying here in PEI, also with me, is not practicing as of today, and I know he's doing well. Holly, also one of my classmates from ABU who is here, didn't practice, is not practicing, but he studied and is doing well. So there are many options. You can choose to study, and you can study either at the master's level or the PhD level, or even do a residency as I did way back in 2001. The residency is a graduate study that is considered professional training. It's not like a research-based training. It's considered professional because it's preparing you to really practice as a specialist. And so that is how you get the designation of a diplomate. For example, you may see diplomate of the American College of Medicine or Internal Medicine, or diplomate of the American College of Surgery, Veterinary Surgery, or diplomate of American College of Ophthalmologists, Veterinary Ophthalmologists, diplomate of the American College of Veterinary Pathology. So everything is veterinary this, veterinary that, veterinary. So they become diplomates. And that diplomate confer on you the status that you are well qualified as a professional to practice in that field of specialty. So you're a specialist. And so all of these exams, actually, from whether you are in Canada or the US, the exams are conducted in the US. They are regulated by the American agencies. So I took my board exam in the US to become a diplomate of the American College of Veterinary Pathologists. And with that certificate, I can pretty much work anywhere in the world as a pathologist because it's recognized worldwide. The same thing with any other specialty in veterinary medicine. If you become a diplomate in ophthalmology, veterinary ophthalmology, medicine or surgery, you'll be recognized globally as an expert in that field. It used to be a lot easier to get into those residency programs in Canada without having to write the NAVLE or go through the licensing process. But now it's a little bit more complicated. It's very competitive. And 20 years ago, it wasn't as competitive as it is today. A lot of Canadians and Americans are going into those fields of endeavor. And so I feel like it's easier to come in as a master's or PhD student than to get into residency training. However, that is not to say that it doesn't happen. You can still apply for residencies in Canada or US. It's easier to get into residency in the US now without having to write the exams that are required to become a licensed veterinarian. Canada is a little bit more difficult, mostly because they have fewer options, fewer opportunities. They usually take one or two candidates at a time. The US vet schools may take more people into residency training, and they have a lot of vet schools that are there for them to also. Do not underestimate diplomas and graduate diplomas and graduate certificates. Some of this will help you to kind of add a layer of North American education to your veterinary degree that will allow you to be able to get into the workforce easier than if you didn't have anything done here in North America. And of course, internships and externships could open up doors for you to get into the mainstream. And so all of these are available online, whether it's fellowships to travel, awards, scholarships, as much as possible, you need to network with different individuals, attending meetings. For example, if you have the money to attend a meeting in the US or Canada, why not? That's where you meet networking people. You meet people that will help you to jumpstart your career and maybe even get opportunity to study in a professor's lab. And for studying is usually for masters and PhDs, they usually come with some stipend. So you are funded a bit of funding to help you with your studies. For residency, there's always some good funding. Actually, the funding have increased from when I used to be a resident. So you could be getting a living wage while you're studying. Better still, if you get like Commonwealth scholarship, like Holy did, that is even very lucrative. Commonwealth scholarship still exists, I think. So if you can get one from Nigeria or anywhere you are to come and study and do master's or PhD with a Commonwealth scholarship, that would be wonderful. And there are other opportunities that you may also consider, job opportunities. Believe it or not, there are jobs in Canada and US that may hire somebody from outside if they don't find a Canadian citizen or permanent resident or an American citizen or a green card holder for those jobs. They will recruit you from outside. They will actually file for your visa application. They will allow you to come here to work for them on condition that you don't leave them after a given number of years because they've spent so much money to sponsor you. Postdoc positions are available. You can compete with everyone else in the world wanting to do a postdoc in North America. You can apply into private sector jobs, like I mentioned earlier. You don't have to work as a vet. You can work as a technical person, working as a technician, assistant vet, researcher, working to help a PI, with their research. All they need from you is your veterinary background so that you're able to understand animal handling, dosing of animals, treating them and injecting them. That's a job that you could have. Or you could have a job in the agricultural sector. There are several jobs. The agricultural sector in particular needs workers to work on their farms. It could be a dairy farm, a beef farm, a piggery, you name it, poultry farm. They need people with some level of understanding of science and veterinary science in general. And so you may be able to get an opportunity to work in those areas. And certainly, last but not the least, business. You may come to Canada or US. You don't want to work for anyone. If you have the mindset of Dr. Ibe or my friend Emeka, and you want to do your own business, there may be opportunities here. To kind of identify a business opportunity that you may see. Do your analysis, market analysis back home and here. Is there something from here that would sell in Nigeria, for example? Or even vice versa. Some people actually bring things from Nigeria to sell here. So it could be something that could work for you. Or you could look for partners, people that will partner with you for a particular product, whether it's a veterinary product, drugs, food, accessories. The options are unlimited. There are some companies here that manufacture those things. And maybe you can partner with them to open up a new market in Nigeria. So, there's the 4 quadrants of how to become financially independent. I don't know if you're familiar with that. To be financially independent, actually working is not one of those ways, unless, of course, you're the CEO, CFO of a company, and you get tons of millions of dollars as bonuses every year. The vast majority of employees do not get financially independent. To be financially independent, you have to either be a business owner, you have to either invent something that people will like and buy and pay money for that, or you have to be an investor to invest in different areas of opportunities that may multiply your initial investment into a lot of money so that you can become financially independent. But if you rely on paycheck to paycheck, the tax man is waiting for you. As your paycheck comes in, they're taking their share, and that's not a good way to make money. And certainly don't overlook other countries, particularly the Caribbean countries. They have a lot that you can get from that, you shouldn't overlook Australia, New Zealand, even Europe, you shouldn't overlook. I know that there's a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment in many of these countries these days, including Canada and the US, but people still get through. People still find their way in, and in a way, you can find your destiny. You never know where your destiny will take you to. And at this point, I want to tell you my story because, as Dr. Ibe mentioned earlier, I never wanted to be a pathologist. It has never been part of my dream to be a pathologist. I've always wanted to be a clinician. And as I was working for the Nigerian Defense Academy in Kaduna, I got the opportunity to study, to do my master's in ABU. So he wanted to know why I didn't finish my master's. And I'm going to tell you the story now. While I was in Zaria doing my master's, I don't know, some of you may know Dr. Nicodemus Use, Dr. Use
Yeah.
was doing his
It's in Makodi. It's in Makodi now.
He's in Makodi, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Use was in Zaria at the time, and he was a graduate assistant in Dr. Isevo's lab, Kan Isevo. And Isevo was the dean of, I don't know, HOD of pathology at the time. So the Atlantic Veterinary College in Canada, Department of Pathology, the head of the department was a Nigerian at the time, actually. So he sent the job posting for residency in anatomic pathology to vet schools around the world, and ABU was one of them. And so Dr. Isevo gave it to Dr. Nicodemus to put it on the notice board. And at the time, I was doing my coursework in Zaria. So, of course, I knew Use quite well during vet school, and some of us went to his office to say hello. And he said, oh, by the way, there's this opportunity to do residency in pathology in Canada. If one of you is interested, you can apply. And we asked Use, what about you? He said, no, I've already done my, I think, master's, or he's almost finishing up his master's. He doesn't want to change to go anywhere, so he's good. And I copied that advertisement, not because I really wanted to apply, but I copied it for my friend who was in clinical practice at the time in Abuja. And I knew he wasn't very happy working where he was working, and he wanted something different to change. But, when I came to Kaduna for a weekend, I called my friend. I said, I have something for you that you would like. Can you come to Kaduna? Let's talk. He drove from Abuja to Kaduna, and I gave him the posting. And I said, you should apply. And he said to me, what about you? I said, well, no, I'm not going to apply because I'm already studying equine medicine in ABU with Professor Kwanashi at the time. And he said to me, do you know where destiny will take you? If you don't apply, I will not apply. So literally, he forced me to apply. And I did, just because I wanted him to apply also. And I forgot completely about them. Months passed, and then I got an email that I should submit my referees, ask my referees to submit referee letters. And thank goodness, Dr. Adawa and Dr. Polabdu in Nazaria, they were the two referees that sent reference letters to my vet school in Canada for my application. And at that time, you have to go and line up at the internet cafe in 1999. Relatively new, internet was relatively new, so they did that, and I'm very grateful for them because they contributed to my journey to Canada, and it turned out that my friend went back to Abuja and didn't apply for this position. That was very, very interesting for me to know afterwards. But the long and short of this is that I eventually got accepted based on my transcript and the reference letters. They gave me the opportunity to come here to Canada to study with a full stipend, that was enough to pay my school fees as an international student and also support my living, in Canada. And that was what happened with me. And I finished and I went to work in the university, and then I changed to industry, and I've been here since in the industry. So yeah, there are many options available to you. Your story could be different from mine, but certainly there are a lot of options. I want to take the next couple of minutes to show you some links that you may want to look at your leisure time. So if you go to the job bank or a job platform online, this is an American, actually American Veterinary Medical Association website where they have careers that they post. You see, find your next job. You can find anything here. If I say technician, if I type technician, can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
You see all the jobs as a veterinary technician. They're all here. Lots of jobs. Some of them have to do with equine technician. Some of them are just regular technician. Sometimes you see even they will specify a foreign trained vet who wants to work as a technician. You will see these jobs available. This is the American Veterinary Medical Association website. We have the same thing on the Canadian job bank, Let me see Indeed here. Sorry, I went the wrong direction. Same, okay, not this one. Let me try this one. This is the American College of Veterinary Pathologists. This is my college. This is the college I belong to. And in this college, you will see different career options. So if I click on career here, you see there are career options. You see here, there is the search for career or training centers. So if I click on the training centers, I just need to type the keyword, let me say residency. And these are all the available residency programs right now. Combined residency, PhD training in anatomic pathology at Texas College Station, Texas A&M. There's Pullman. This is actually the same school where I worked, Washington State College of Veterinary Medicine in Pullman. They have anatomic pathology position open. They combine it also with PhD there. There is in the Caribbean, you see, Ross University in the Caribbean. So many of you that are much younger, if you want to apply for this residency, why not try your luck? You may never know. It could work for you, just like it worked for me. These are all residency positions to specialize in pathology, and it's quite a lot. Majority of them are in the US. Obviously, you can see different vet schools in the US, right? And if you're looking for a real job, to work as a pathologist, if you're a trained pathologist in Nigeria and you want to work as a pathologist in North America, sometimes you could be lucky also. You could get a position in North America to work in the industry. And although most of them will require board certification by the American College of Veterinary Pathologists, there are exceptions to the rule. If they're desperate, they don't find anybody, they could accept someone with a PhD in pathology and have proven skills in pathology. So you see, these are all positions in academia as pathologists, veterinary clinical pathologists, anatomic pathologists. They're all there, poultry pathologists. So you can look into all of this if you're interested in pathology positions, including the residency that you see here. All right, so I think that is where I'm going to end my presentation. if there's any contributions from my colleagues, Dr. Emeka and Dr. Holly Aqua here, if you want to add something, please go ahead and add something, but I will take questions from anyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Professor Ibokwe would make some comments. I think he's an avian pathologist. Ibokwe will make some comment. Professor Ibokwe, unmute yourself and then add some spices to what he has just said. And then thank you very much for being upstream in this year and top-notch in this year discussion. It will go a long way in encouraging our people. Since you made it, other people will make it. That's our prayers. And Holy Tenegakwa, Dr. Mbafo left. I don't know why she left. A Cameroonian. She's lecturing in one of the veterinary schools in northern Cameroon. She has been with us actually, but she has left. So you people are giving us international spices. Professor Ibokwe, please, before I'll take on.
Okay, thank you, Julius. It was a very inspiring story you have told.
Please be audible a bit, because
yes, exactly. I was going to say that a little bit louder, yes. If you don't mind, sir.
We have as now we have close to 10 people in the YouTube watching us.
Okay, are you hearing me now?
Oh yes, sir.
Better now.
Okay, well, the network is not very good. We have just survived.
That's okay.
Around the town. Okay. I would say the talk was very inspiring. When I saw that Julius is a Nigerian, trained DVM in Nigeria, and then was able to go out there and do something very remarkable, I got excited, and I said I wasn't going to miss the opportunity of listening to him. And I think I made the most of the time. One area I would like to find out what you think about it is the area that Dr. Henry Foster started in 1947. Veterinarians going into the industry, developing industry tracks that are not conventional, regular. You know, private veterinarians have always thought about doing things that are not completely clinical, but it's still a business line, a business model, a business concept that can create wealth, create employment, and so on and so forth. And here you are in the Riverside Laboratories. I think it's only one veterinarian I understand owns a laboratory somewhere in Abuja. What are the possibilities that such a thing can happen here? And that's one. The second one is some of you that have gone over there, how are you going to help us invigorate our system? Do you see us getting some support from you too in the future to invigorate veterinary practice, veterinary pathology in particular? We are running a residency program. We would also like to see a situation where you infiltrate us with your myriads of experiences and insights as to how we can get it better so that it can serve us here. Yes, that's my take now as a perspective I'm looking at it right now. I'm not even thinking about how we can get out there, but how we can get information, get support to build the system here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ibokwe, right? I think Ikechukwu Ibokwe. I think if I understand the question, the first one was, you're talking about Riverside Laboratories in Nigeria and how could they scale up potentially to be like what Charles River is today from the early beginnings, humble beginnings with Dr. Foster starting to breed some rodents, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it has to do with the vision of the owners, quite frankly. If you look at the landmark trailblazing path that Dr. Foster took, I mean, at the time he was going through that process of starting to breed animals, there were so many veterinarians in America, trained veterinarians, and none of them could think about that particular business model except Dr. Foster, who had the vision. So you have to have the inspiration, the vision, and the foresight to be able to go into a space that nobody has gone to and succeed and remain tenacious in that goal and mission that you've set for yourself. It's only exceptional individuals that normally succeed in those kind of fields of endeavor, and you have to come up with an exceptional idea that you're breaking new grounds, literally, to kind of succeed. And he did it, and he succeeded, and then he branched out into drug development, and he still succeeded. Today, his company is the largest, even though it's no longer a family business. It's a publicly traded company. It's still the biggest CRO in the world, and still the breeding of research animals is a big part of the business as we continue to grow in that field as well. So these individuals that own Riverside, I think if they focus in that area, they will succeed eventually. Nigeria is a huge market in Africa for everything, really, and the opportunities exist. Unfortunately, right now, the business environment in Nigeria, depending on the field of business, is not very good as it should be, because the economy is the one that supports businesses. If the economy is collapsed, the businesses do not do well. And so that's really a major issue with the buying power of individuals in Nigeria being diminished significantly at this point. It's hard for businesses right now in Nigeria. So even for startups, it's even going to be much harder. To your second question about how to invigorate your vet path training, the residency program that you have, I think the good way to go about it is to collaborate with your diaspora pathologists and also veterinary schools in Canada and US and Europe that train pathologists as well. Those schools are always willing to support. You can have a kind of a memorandum of understanding with a vet school to help you with materials and maybe curriculum. If you want to follow their curriculum, I'm sure they'll be willing to share some of their curriculum. But the trained veterinary pathologists that we have in North America, some of us are in the industry, and we may not be able to be very useful for you in pathology for diagnostic purposes because we are disconnected from diagnostics. But by and large, we can give you our side of the story, which is toxicologic pathology. So in industry, we do toxicologic pathology. And believe it or not, just recently, actually, here in Canada, Charles River started to collaborate with all the 5 veterinary institutions in Canada that train veterinary pathologists. And we lined up our pathologists within Charles River to give presentations and talk to the residents in pathology who have no clue what toxicologic pathology means. So we're giving them monthly seminar every Friday, every other Friday. Every Friday, we give a monthly seminar. We just had one last week Friday, and there's going to be one end of this month, again, another seminar. We are trying to educate them on toxicologic pathology, which is not part of their normal curriculum, but it's interesting for them to know because there are a lot of opportunities that exist for veterinary pathologists in the industry that they don't see while they're going through their residency training in pathology, because the focus of the training is diagnostic pathology. And so we are trying to bring the small flavor of toxicology pathology into their training program for the residents so that they see what we do. And then we also have opportunities for externships and internships. We invite these veterinary residents in pathology to come and visit our sites for 1 or 2 weeks to see what we do and learn what we do. And that also exists. You know, we had 2 externs that came to visit my site this year, one from Saskatoon, the other one from Prince Edward Island, and there's also opportunities for that to be explored. The only thing for international graduates, of course, for international residents, is difficulty with visas and traveling costs and living expenses. But within Canada, it's easier. People who are already here, you know, we make it happen for them to come and visit us. And so, yes, you can contact us. We'll be able to maybe get some people we still have pathologists that are both certified working in universities here in Canada and US, and we can maybe get them to give you seminars from time to time, to help build up the capacity in the training of pathologists right there in Nigeria.
Yeah, note the two questions on the chat. Can you answer it? From Ben Waliweze. Yeah.
Let me go to the chat.
Yes, go to chat. There are two questions there. Then that is time for engagement. We can only talk from the host and co-host angle if we don't have any comment from the chat box. So, yeah, you're saying it's two questions.
Yeah, so is it better to commence PhD here and then apply to a vet school in Canada, US for collaboration and completion of the study? How can a vet doctor who has software development skills put this to good use in Canada, US? Okay, so the first part of the question is whether you could start a PhD in Nigeria and then move it to Canada, US to collaborate with a professor here. I mean, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. But in the overall scheme of things, if you're coming with your money, you're funding yourself, I would say this is possible. You collaborate, you just need the lab space to do your research, and a professor will give you a lab space. And then, of course, what he gets from it is a paper publication that he will have his name on it. But for the most part, the way it works is usually the professor would like to get a student who will key into his own area of interest. So he would be much more willing to take someone who is working in an interest that he is already pursuing, maybe already has a grant for that particular research, and he would like to get a graduate student to help him work on that part of the project and give him a stipend while he's doing that master's or PhD. But in your case, you already started a PhD and want to collaborate with a professor here. So you can search universities in Canada, US, with the interest that you have already developed for a PhD, the kind of research proposal that you have in mind, and see which professor in which vet school have common interests or common area of research, like the one you're working on, and then send them emails. Just approach them by email. You have this particular project you're working on. Can you move to his lab to continue the project? And maybe that can work for both of you. And then the second part of the question is, how can a vet doctor with software development skills put this into good use in Canada and US? So again, computer is very important. Software development is very important. There are several sectors in the vet world that will need software for different purposes. Incidentally, I met someone this past Sunday actually at church who studied computer science, and he told me his first job was working with a vet clinic, a chain of vet clinic, private vet clinics, to develop a software that allows them to do consultation online. So they will consult with the owners of the pets online via this software that he created for them. So you see, this is not even a vet. He's like a computer scientist, and he was able to come up with a software that's helping a company connect with their customers via online platform. So certainly there are opportunities that exist. You just need to find which area that you can apply your veterinary knowledge to develop your software. It could be helping farmers to maximize some certain types of output, or maybe generating certain types of data that they never had, or even monitoring a particular kind of situation with the software. So certainly there are a lot of options available out there, whether it's in the farming area of vet practice or it's in the pet animal side. The opportunities are unlimited.
Yeah, on the YouTube, John Jacob, it's a fantastic presentation. Kudos to Dr. Julius. That's from the YouTube. And I've asked them to make their comments and ask their questions. You see, there are 9 of them in the YouTube. We were, I think, 14, and then we're down to 10. But what I found out, or 8, sorry. What I found out that people are crashing out and crashing in. Your friend from Cameroon, he look as he has crashed out like the sister Mbafo. Anyway, thank you, Julius. You're really making our day. giving us some impetus to think and rethink, and then gearing us towards strategizing and re-strategizing. So that's it. If we have any other, hey, look at the next question on the chat box, Julius. You are watching it?
Yeah, I'm seeing the question. So
yes, by a lady, Dr.
for a vet who is
Dorcas.
already in Canada, he has already moved to Canada, for example, from Nigeria, but isn't licensed yet to practice. What are the available job options in vet space to key into before becoming licensed? Yes, so I think a vast majority of immigrant veterinarians are in this particular scenario that you described here. There are a lot of job opportunities, but of course, you have to swallow your pride and forget the fact that you are a vet from Nigeria. You're not working as a vet, and take what you can take to pay your bills while you try to navigate your way through the licensing process. The job opportunities exist as a technician working in a vet clinic, as an animal health technician working in a vet clinic, or as an assistant vet working in a vet clinic. Those exist in private sector. Opportunities exist to work in a company like Charles River Laboratories, for example. Also, if you're in Canada, if you're in Montreal area, all our sites are in the Montreal area. All the contract research organizations in Canada are located in the Montreal area. So there's Charles River, there's also International Toxicology Research, which is another CRO. They will hire you as a technician, either to work in the toxicology department to inject the animals, take care of them, husbandry practices, or to work in the pathology department as a necropsy technician. So you'll be dissecting animals and removing tissues from them. That also is a possibility. Or it could be in any other department, really, where your technical skills as a vet are needed. It could be in the vet department where you'll be working as a vet aide, not as a veterinarian, but as a vet aide or assistant vet, to help the veterinarians with their treatments. When they prescribe medications for the animals, you will be the one to treat the animals. So dress wounds and stuff like that, and minor vet procedures you can perform. You get paid to do the job while you continue to develop yourself to get your license eventually. And what is the best way to get into public health, One Health space prior to obtaining a license? Of course, this space is big. You can go in as a technician, as a data analyst or data collector, collecting data from the field, or go in with a master's in public health or epidemiology, or a PhD in public health or epidemiology. So that is an area that you can get into. If you don't want to go through the licensing process, you can go and do PhD like Holly did in epidemiology, and Holly is working in the field of EP in different organizations. Or you can do an MPH, sorry. With the MPH, you can get into the public space and work as a public, maybe One Health agent in one of those organizations. But
thank you.
Beyond that, there are lots of non-vet related jobs that they can easily take you. And I know a vet that came from Nigeria and is working with refugee immigration, helping refugees to integrate into the system. In fact, I know 2 veterinarians doing that kind of job. It's not related to vet, but they're doing it, and their professional training as vet probably prepared them to do this kind of job while they kind of try to figure out what next to do with their careers.
What next to do, yeah. And to add up to Mecca, I've seen a lot of vets who got converted, but they're supposed to be a landing pad.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you say, those landing pads might look odd, but I've seen them move from those landing pads to being full-blown clinicians. One of them is licensed to practice in Nevada, state of Nevada, California, and Texas, just from being a teacher.
Yeah.
Because he found himself in America through the partner who is an auxiliary nurse. But another thing is, in partnership, I have always tried to describe us as humans. Trying to describe us as humans in the sense that, I'll give you an example. My little son can bite anybody when he was 3 years, when the teeth started to develop. But one day I carried his hand and put inside the mouth. This young boy this child did not bite. Meanwhile, any other hand, that finger that enters his mouth, he will bite. So there is this selfishness that's inculcated in us, right from ab initio, right from this, my young son. So what I'm trying to say that at times you don't defeat yourself. At times you stretch yourself. And I'm talking about marriage now. Yeah, I agree, love is blind. But like me, when I was looking for a wife, I looked for somebody that will lift me up and not somebody that will pull me down. If love is blind, my name is not love. I have eyes. That's the time. I'm telling you, you might laugh. See my eyes here. This love is on its own, being blind. And if you're marrying, marry somebody that can lift you up. Somebody that you can think together. Somebody that can cohere thoughts together. Who can, okay, husband, I'll wait for you, pass this exam, let me walk. When you come out, you'll be well paid. And then I'll go and rest. It's as easy as that. And not somebody that two of you will be on the downward trend. And more especially, I'm sorry to say this, I'm not a racist. I can't even say, I can make bold to say some Black American girls, all they do is to destroy our men in America and Canada. Go to me any day. I've seen it done. Most especially those that want to get your papers from. They will mess you up, they will destroy you, and then they will leave you there. So don't scam yourself. Julius, you're raising your hand. Why?
Yes.
We are part of us.
Yeah, I want to add something. Yeah. So,
Okay.
something just came to my mind. I know a vet here in Canada who studied in UI, migrated to Canada, but studied computer science. Didn't go into bachelor's computer science. He just went to a college to do some certificates in computer, something to do with computer. And quite frankly, he loved computers from Nigeria. And now this guy is a manager working as a computer IT manager, and he's very happy doing what he's doing in that field. And they call him doctor. They respect him for being a doctor in that space, and they will probably respect him and pay him a little bit more than a typical IT manager who is not a doctor. So that's just something out there for you guys. There are so many unlimited options. You just need to find
the options. Just like you said, the options are there. But I always mentor young minds, those from 16, 25 and down, who are fond in telling their parents we live in digital age, allow us make our mistakes, and then we'll correct it by ourselves. But most times I tell them, you can make a mistake you cannot correct in this world. It will take you entire, even in the grave, as an old man, you'll be making one mistake you made. Why jump into that mistake? Agreed. In making your mistake, make moderate mistakes. That's the thing. Make mistakes that are moderate. Those of us in YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us to grow. And those of us who are in Zoom, please, I will pass our video round. Julius, please pass your video round for those of us who might not be able to make it, either time factor or walking or one or two things. But as you are watching our video, please click subscribe button and notification button. It helps us to further our algorithm. For those on YouTube already, please, I think 9 of you are on YouTube already. All you need is, Emeka wants to talk, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I think I've said a lot. That you are in the street. I was in the street in Nigeria as a veterinarian, a pedestrian ambulator. I said it, and I'm proud to say it. For pedestrian ambulatory, I moved to half Okada. So I moved to half Okada. Yeah, half Okada, half pedestrian subsidized ambulatory. That's how I moved. I graduated in 1987 and bought my first car in December 1995. But it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me by having a future in my thought. Let us, as we are progressing, in UK where I live right now, or partially live, I went to, what is this? I think Tesco. I went to Tesco, I saw a security man. This guy ran from Nigeria to UK. At the end of the day, I saw him in Tesco as a security man, a medical doctor. But when I got some conversations with him, he has his plans. But lo and behold, in the next 3 or 4 years, he will pass his PLAP. And once you pass a PLAP in United Kingdom, what are you doing with security? You know, these are what I call the landing pad. And once you be in that landing pad, and I thank God in UK, America, Canada, there is dignity in any level. That you are in a downtrodden level does not mean you are downtrodden forever. It's only a phase in life.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get out, imagine me, I wondered the last time I injected antirabies, moving from one house to the other as an ambulator, house call. I won't do it again. But I did it. It was part of my growing process. So that's it. And when we call for discussion like this, it broadens our hearts, make us to open our mind. And make Moneka, please. You've been in Canada, you're in UK with me. And Emeka was my junior in UNN. But when I came to America, when I went to UK, you know, I was guiding him in UNN. But along the line, when I entered the UK, I became his junior in UK, and he was guiding me. He was guiding me. So, and you can see, like, he was 3 years my junior at UNN, and I was almost 10 years his junior in Japa. So that's all life. And he is the one telling me, follow this rule, follow there, go here, go here. And as I'm going, just as I was teaching my UNN, he was progressing. And as I'm growing because of the things he has taught me, I am progressing.
Yeah.
So that's what life is all about. It's either here or there. It can't be neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More Neko, you can talk one name.
Thank you, Dr. Ibe, and thank you, Julius. Julius, my main man.
Yes, sir. Let me be there.
We were in the trenches together.
Anyway. Continua.
Yeah, so when they said you're going to come on to give us this speech, I said I was going to be there, irrespective of work today. And you nailed it. Actually, you said it very well. For those who are listening, and especially for the younger vets who are out there, that you work hard and be prepared for the opportunity when it comes. Just like Dr. Ibe said, there is dignity in labor. Just like when Julius was sharing his story about not really wanting to go to Canada, and then when the opportunity came, he went. And, from that opportunity is who he is today. I and Julius met in Canada. I didn't know Julius in Nigeria. I was among the people that went to receive him at the airport when he landed the first day from Nigeria, because I was already in the institution where he came to do his master's. So, and, as Nigerians, we bonded together. We did our little things while we were there. He's still now in Canada. I'm here in the UK. But the important thing is that as young vets is that we were open-minded, and we worked hard when we saw the opportunity. We did all we could do to get to where we are today. The younger vets, based on my experience and advice, is that you're not entitled to anything. You just have to work hard for whatever comes to you. And also, just like as we are talking about salaries, and you don't get into any profession and expect to be on top of it.
Yeah,
you have to pay your dues. In fact, it was when I came to UK that I knew, because everybody, you're a vet. You find out that as a young vet graduate here in the UK, most young vet graduates in the UK are even paid less than some professions, even though it's one of the toughest professions you can get into in the UK.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I came in the first time, and I said that people were starting at the salary of maybe 20,000, 21,000 pounds per annum.
Yes.
And you look at it, 21,000 pounds per annum for somebody who is living in London is no money. And then somebody will say, oh, you're a vet, and you're being paid so low and being given such a tight work schedule. But it's not the beginning that is important. It is the end, or how you progress. So for me, our young vets should know that you're a doctor doesn't entitle you to much. You have to walk through the process to get to where you are and where you will be. But the thing is that the opportunities are there. There are a lot of opportunities. We have studied a profession that has lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
But the important thing is how you navigate through those opportunities to grow and to make yourself who you become. But not just to be that once you come out from the university that you are entitled. So that is all I have to say. And Dr. Ibe and Julius have already shared such experience, and I hope that you take it home and work with it. That's all I want to put in. Thank you.
Yeah, and Dr. Julius made one point. I remember when I was testing my the rats I used in the practical lab. If somebody can engage himself in rat breeding in Nigeria, I think he was going to make a lot of money. Because some research institutions are looking for these rats and they're not available.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing is that for every business, you need to do your analysis.
Yeah.
Business analysis. And I tell you, then I was buying one rat, 1 naira. Then I used around 30 rats to run my trypanosomiasis research. I was using some anti-malarial plants to treat trypanosomiasis, and it worked. Picralima nitida. I always make noise. It's in the International Journal of Ethnopharmacology as a final year student project. But be it as it may, I know why I ran away from research. If research is what I have seen today, I would have been in research. And I would have researched on, I'm from Okija, I would have researched with a lot of phytomedicine, that's plant medicine. But that is okay. Julius, yes. I want to see whether, do you produce vaccines?
Yeah, Charles River produce avian vaccines.
Avian vaccines, okay. Oh, I'm a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you finish all your research, what you produce will help you to push it into the market. Yeah. So that's it. We need some comments, and then before we can really pack up. It has been really a testing ground. And then remember, please, as we plead, as you are watching, as we send this thing around, you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. On Saturday, this Saturday, it's because of the proximity of time zone where Julius is staying. That's why we're coming. My programs are, like I said, 10 o'clock on Saturday. We're going to come back to Julius. Join us 10 o'clock on Marek's disease. You might have some spices. Once in some time, please wake up in the night. It won't disturb you. and that's Saturday. I mean, I don't know whether you're in lab on Saturdays, and be able to be with us and then give us an advice. Dr. Oladele again is coming up with Marek's disease in poultry. We have a lot of serious challenges in the poultry industry. Even pet industry that is growing because of security concerns in Nigeria. So we are coming up with a lot of topics. And then if any of you go get to my YouTube channel, you can see some heartwarming and heart-wrenching topics. And the idea of these topics is to move us out of, and then railroad ourselves out of ignorance. That's it. So if anybody has anything to say, let's deal with it, and then we can call it a day. Maybe reassemble on Saturday in the morning. After Saturday in the morning, the other Saturday is we'll be in the conference mood, MVMA conference mood. And another issue is that we have a lot of topics lined up. Honestly, we have a lot of topics lined up that will keep us busy almost on Saturday basis till the Yuletide. So Julius has gone out. Is there any other person that has something to say? And then being able. And then one thing he said, there is job scarcity. And then another thing I want to say, we have our children coming up, both in Nigeria, United States, and the United Kingdom. And some of them might try to, some of our kids or children might try to study vet medicine. We can see there's a safe haven in Canada. So the job scarcity in Canada might be for us or our children who are being trained to study veterinary medicine. I have a couple of veterinarians, a lot. Their children are in school. A lot of them are in school studying veterinary medicine. They can give Canada a trial. Dr. Ikogo's son is in Canada right now. Emeka, you might know, but you might know the young boy in Canada. And then we have a lot of Dr. Professor Ikechukwu's son, my daughter might decide to go to Canada and study veterinary medicine. You can see that the job is already on the table and they pay them fat. I'm telling you. So as we're discussing about ourselves, let's have inroad in our children on the baseline of what they ought to do to better their life. Yeah. I don't expect Professor Ikechukwu's son, and Professor Ike is a vet, lecturer, a professor. The wife is almost a professor. I expect their children to recycle them through inbreeding in Maiduguri University. It doesn't make sense as far as I'm concerned. You know, the more you live, because you might end up making those children Maiduguri. But the more you expand and move, look at the intellectual capacity of Julius. Julius, you might not know, the first time I met him in Kaduna State MVMA meeting. And after that meeting, they all followed me to my house in Angwari GRA. I'm telling you, this is somebody I've never met before. But before, because I met him in the meeting, and since then, we've been friends. And that's why it's good to be a vet, so that you can make veterinary friends. When we're in the profession to make friends, and he will tell you, he has almost, I know, Julius, the wife walked where I served. So he's a smooth operator. When he was, when he was coming for that lady. So to catch Julius was not that easy, but I was able to catch him for today, for the day program. On my own, in morning, one day, your time he will soon come. We'll bring you on board. We'll bring you on board.
From a business angle, yes.
Cross-fertilization of opinion. I've told myself, why am I taking my opinions to? Is to enrich the world with it. And this one I'm talking about, you people, your children studying vet medicine. Mine said they are not studying. Don't know why. But that's their, so I'm not really particular about them. What they want to read and study is far away from my own. And then there's nothing I can do. When any day I feel like packing up my business, I pack it up. I don't have any regrets. Maybe what they would do far better than coming to queue behind me. And that's all I pray for them, to be in front of me. Maybe they can even employ me.
When you're ready to retire, you can sell your business. You can sell your business when you're ready to retire.
Yeah, so that's it. So please, I think we have spoken a lot. And those in YouTube, please assist us further and then subscribe to our channel. Those of us here, I've sent the YouTube link. I'm going to send the video of this video in all my all the platforms I behold. And then in those platforms, anybody that can see it in the platform here, you can stretch it in other platforms. As they are watching, let them be subscribing. And Julius, we have not finished with you. That one you know. One day we can call you up because you have finished this talk and from your thoughts. You have not given me your thought that will come up tomorrow. Unless your life is not dynamic. Unless your life is fixated. There are thoughts that will come along your way because you are still expanding your thought processes. And be it as it may, we want to be part of those thought processes that are yet to come. That is where we are wired. And that is why we are glad. And for my colleagues, let's meet in Jos. I am in the country because of the Jos conference, honestly, solely. And once after that conference, because of the nebulousness of the country as it is now, one handkerchief, 400 naira. Going to Abuja and coming back will take me 100,000. I've sold
By
my
road?
Jeep.
By road?
I
or by
am telling
flight?
you, I'm not by my car.
Oh no.
Now my Jeep is worse. I've sold it. Anybody in Nigeria is not driving a fuel efficient car. There's no big manism in this country. If you're a big man, the kidnappers catch you on the road. You're there. What they will place on your head will be more than we that drive Golf 3. They allow us to go. So there's no need. Why am I working hard to make money and then give them money? Some depending on the car, from 25 million and above. So so that's what it is. So my brothers and sisters, we don't drive big cars again, right? Because it's a bet to the bandits. It's a bet to the kidnappers. So the person is to lie low, camouflage your life. It's better than you are here, than you are in that den. Maybe they give you one panty to wear. You don't even watch. So that's the dynamics of life. Please, can we call it a day? Nuruddin Nurufai, is there anything you can say? Please, we can talk and then we'll go. At least we'll have a good day. We have a very nice day today. So, is there anything? Is it Abayomi Samuel? Bernard Mwabeza, you spoke, Takas, you spoke, Nuruddin, you spoke, Emeka has spoken. What can we call it a day? There's a lot of people in the YouTube. Oh yes, I will continue to stream in the YouTube. To be frank, they're down to 6 people in the YouTube. We can, they don't show their names.
Nuruddin Rufai is my classmate from Zaria, I think.
Okay.
If it's the same Nuruddin Rufai that I know. Nuruddin, hello, sir.
Is it with us or with? Unmute yourself. Unmute your hand. Can you talk? Unmute, sir.
Okay, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's the one. Nice to see your face.
No, let me unmute him.
Dr. Nuru.
It's a pleasure seeing you and hearing from you again.
It's a pleasure, my brother. Good to see you.
Where are you right now, sir?
Right as I'm speaking, I'm in Lagos at Ajah Veterinary Center with Ministry of Agriculture, Lagos State.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
were you there last year when we were in the Lagos conference?
At the conference in Lagos?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I Dr. Julius was around.
Yes, he was there.
Yeah, Julius was
together.
Yes.
We took pictures.
Yes. Nuruddin, did we meet?
We did not really talk, but at least I saw you around, sir. If I may put it that way.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Come to me. Are you coming to Jos?
I plan to, but I've not concluded yet, sir. But I will try.
Please conclude. Let's meet in Jos because that's where we meet. That's
it's
where
pleasure,
we meet to mix, to admix. And that's where we reason out the best processes for our profession to drive forward so that our profession will not be a pariah. We will never allow our profession to be a pariah. And some gangsterism going along in some places where some parallel professionals want to annex the soul of our profession. We will resist it. I will continue to resist it.
God will help us, sir.
Yes, amen. But at times God uses us to make it. It's not about miracle. It's not about miracle. It's about us being on Kuplina phase, coordinating with ourselves, hands not in akimbo, hands chuckled together because there's unity in strength. And that's the way we will make it. And not some people. I noticed that some veterinarians, being on the side, once they will be on the part of the glory, but they don't want to be part of the story. Because for any good story, for any good glory, there is a story that leads to that glory. Be at the part of the story that leads to that glory, so that at the end of the day, excellence will be your watchword. And then you ask yourself, am I part of this glory? As we celebrate, oh, we have done this, we want this. As we are doing it and clapping around, one thing and one corner, we should go at one corner, ask ourselves some baseline questions. Are we part of this glory? That is where I'm leaving everybody.
Yes,
Julius, please,
sir.
thank you very much for giving us. Abayomi Samuel, do you want anything to say?
My Oga, well done. I hail you, sir. And wonderful presentation. Sorry, I joined very, very late. I don't mind coming to Canada to do my PhD. I've started one already in University of Abuja. Just starting that, but I don't mind an opportunity to come around to meet Dr. Julius. I think I saw a little of, but I wouldn't mind if you could share your slide, because I saw when you were talking about PhD opportunity, but I came in very late. I just rushed from office,
Yeah,
came
you
in.
see, we have
was
rules.
just
We have
reading.
rules here. We
Sorry.
direct people. We
All
direct
right.
people to our YouTube. The
Okay,
slides
sir.
are there on the YouTube.
There, it's all right. I'll go check and
Yes.
I'll
And as you're watching, just be clicking subscribe button. Are you
all
hearing
right,
me?
sir. No problem.
Are you in one of the group, one of the platforms?
Yes, I am on your group, sir.
The
your
Bluebird.
yes, I'm there.
Yeah, we will soon send it, the video of this one and the video
Okay,
of all, because
all right.
once you watch this one and you enter into our channel, you will see a lot of videos that will enliven you. We have a lot of people that have spoken that will enlarge our spirit. In fact, the AU IBA Executive Director, Dr. Nick, will soon come on board to tell us opportunities of vet medicine in Africa. Now, as we go, we start reasoning and topics will come into our head. Those topics, and many people have gained from that. You know what I mean? So that is it. This is the world has moved beyond individualism, micromanagism to macromanagism. That's why the world has moved. And it has moved elastically. Walls are broken. Look at somebody in Canada with a different geography, a different time zone. Look at the way we're interacting with him as a group. So if we're in this today and think we can make tomorrow, we should throw away yesterday's formula, yesterday's strategy, and adapt to today's strategy. That is why we can head towards tomorrow on a cognitive scale. You know, these are things I mentioned, the import of what I have trained myself. I was not an orator ab initio, but forces of nature has made me to confirm, has compressed me to be an orator. And then put some mentorship words inside my mouth that once you hear it, you just go to your closet and expand on it. And then being able to put value to yourself. And those values will enrich your future value chain. That's why I clinically make it possible to be having this kind of sit out together. You can see what we have today is an interactive program. It's not really the kind of lecture we used to have in secondary school. Even in some universities, some lecturers are beyond the reach of individuals. See how we can see the way I talked about Emeka. Emeka was my junior along the line. I become his junior along the line. Still on this planet, still living, and still recognizing me. I didn't say, who is this Emeka after all, he was 3 years my junior. No, I would have lost everything information I've gotten from him, including my children going to school, the kind of school they will grow, what it takes for them to be in this kind of school in UK, because he came there first. He has that experience first. He had that experience first before me. Along the line, I had some experience at UNN before him. I directed him. And he gave him the temerity to direct me. This is how the world is supposed, people supposed to build. Some of us, we don't even know this. Our children are the one teaching us, mentoring us on computer devices, where to go and where not to go. I mean, it doesn't make them not to be our children. So that's where the world of today we found ourselves. Maybe by tomorrow we'll find another different thing. We readjust. So on this platform, I think we've done some baseline. First of all, I will end the YouTube. Sorry for those in YouTube, and then we'll greet ourselves, and then that's it. I think we have a